Welcome back to the Talking Sports Traders podcast, episode number
7.
Is it 7? Yeah.
7,
well done. It's a good job you were here, else I have no idea what number podcast we're on. Thank you for tuning in, everyone who's listening at the moment. Bit of a different one today. We are deciding to jump on a little bit of a trend. I noticed a couple of people have done this already. Basically, what we're going to be doing is, with the transfer window being open, there's no football on at the moment, and we just felt like squeezing an hour's podcast talking about golf and I don't know what else, horse racing, cricket,
Formula 1.
Yeah, it's sort of repeating ourselves a little bit, and we know how much everyone loves the football topic, so we're going to be talking about transfers and specifically talking about who we think perhaps your Premier League club or just Premier League clubs in general should be signing.
Yeah.
That's basically the breakdown of it.
Yep, we're going to go club by club.
Yeah, you've got the odds, I've got the evens, correct? Hopefully I got it wrong. Before we jump into it, a couple of signings. We've had one particular for you, which you'll be happy about.
Yep, Haaland, very exciting. I'm sure everyone's got their own opinion on it, but it's going to be good for the Premier League for sure.
Think he'll fit into sort of Pep's way of playing, or?
I'm not sure initially, but he's going to get chances, so with his goal scoring record, you'd expect him to score regardless of what system he's playing in.
True. I think that's something that probably City fans would have liked to have seen maybe in January last season come through as a striker, or at least somebody on like a season-long loan, so they could sort of help them with that goal scoring front, because essentially every week you were playing like Foden up front, or sometimes Grealish was sitting in that position, same with Sterling. I guess now you've got a world-class striker who hopefully he's going to stay there for a number of years now.
Yep, but it's Guardiola. He might only play 20 games, 25 games. You just don't know.
That's true. That is true. And we are talking. I think it was around his release clause was like 60 million. I think like that.
60 million euros, something like that.
Considering his goal scoring record, it's pretty good bargain, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it. But Sky have been keen to point out agent fees as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, which they haven't done from any other signings.
What do you mean?
I think it goes up to, with a signing on bonus, agent fees, manager fees. I think it goes to about 80 million all in.
But really?
Yeah. But the thing is, every transfer has agent fees.
But they're just not publicised like the media.
Yeah. So I don't know why Sky have decided just for this one transfer to say it, but everyone gets it. Everyone has agent fees. It's just part of the game.
No, it's true. I like the welcome video they did for Haaland as well. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
Like where he sat on the sofa.
Recreating that photo.
Yeah, I like that. Let's not forget as well, his dad was in the Premier League, played with Leeds, didn't he? And Haaland was actually born in Leeds.
Yeah, but his dad played for City as well.
And he played for City as well?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
City, yeah.
I knew he was a City fan, but I didn't know what the connection was there.
His dad was captain for a few years.
Oh yeah? Interesting. It's crazy as well, considering that, without that Danish connection, Norwegian connection, that you'd probably have the chance of playing for England if you wanted to.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
Mental that, isn't it, when you think about it. I think there's quite a lot of players, probably another podcast we could talk about that, like players that could have played for England.
Yeah, other clubs as well.
And other clubs as well.
Other countries, sorry. Yeah. A lot of the German team that won the World Cup were from Poland. Podolski,
yeah.
Klaus,
that's true.
Yeah.
There was another player as well, I think, who was in the German league, who was like half German, half English.
Oh, Musiala.
Was it Musiala? Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, he had the opportunity and decided to play for Germany. I think.
Yeah, he played for England and younger levels.
Yeah,
but picked Germany for the senior team.
But then again, we've had it beneficial for us. If you look at like Declan Rice, for example, he was Ireland.
Yeah, Grealish.
And then So the second signing we've had is Liverpool. Big one. They signed Nunez from Benfica. I believe.
Yeah, Benfica.
83 million or
something around there.
Obviously, we don't know the agency fees of that one, but I think it's a good signing. They definitely need a striker. He's definitely proven himself over in that league as well. But then again, we are talking about the Portuguese league, so maybe the competition-wise, it's a completely different standard to like the Premier League, and obviously comparing Haaland with the Bundesliga. Think he'll do well?
Yeah, I think he'll probably do well. Liverpool haven't really got a transfer wrong recently.
That's true.
I think it's a bit out of line of the normal transfers that Liverpool go for.
What do you mean?
In terms of it's way more expensive on a player that isn't really proven himself. He's just done one season, and I'm not going to say that it's wrong, because anyone can spend the money. It doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems a bit sort of usual for Liverpool to spend this much on a player.
I think that from their point of view, they probably think, right, we need someone now who's going to come in and just headline our attacking front, because he's also fairly young as well. Mm-hmm. So obviously, the younger you are nowadays, the higher your price tag. But the likes of sort of Jota and Firmino, I think Jota's done well. I think in that position, Firmino previously in the past years has done decent as well, but haven't really sort of like stolen the headlights. If that makes sense. And I think he should have a good season. I think I'll definitely consider him in my fantasy team. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting now though, because in my opinion, it gives a lot more power to Bayern, because
with Mane.
Because now Bayern, this is the way they work. They like going for the older players, 1 year left on the contract.
Yeah.
The player has expressed that they already want to go to Bayern.
Yeah.
So Bayern will just sit there and they'll just say 30.
Yeah.
And Liverpool, they're either going to have to carry on Mane's contract for another season.
Exactly.
And he doesn't want to be there, or they're going to have to accept a pretty low bid from Bayern. But we'll see how it plays out. It's not the end of the world if he stays.
It's not the end of the world. I think he still stays in the starting 11.
If he stays, of course he's going to stay in the starting 11. In fact, it'll be a win for Liverpool. They're just not going to get anything for him next year.
Definitely. So, I do think that he would excel at Bayern though as well.
Yeah, of course, he's a great player.
Yeah, they got a decent
wherever he ends up.
Yeah, there have been loads of other signings. These are just sort of like the two main ones really, and we're now going to sort of delve into who we think Premier League clubs should sign. One player, ideally. I might have picked two in some scenarios, but Alex, I can explain why.
Yep.
These aren't like, this isn't definitely going to happen. The club's definitely not going to sign this person. This is just our thought process. Yep. There are some where we have some logic towards it, but that's pretty much it, isn't it?
And we don't know each other's, so
we have no idea who's picked either. I'm about to put my notes up though, so you're probably going to get a little bit of a sneak peek. But I'm not going to know yours.
Yeah.
We didn't have a bit of order. Believe it's your first, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'm with Arsenal, and it is a pretty basic pick for me. I guess you're going to be able to guess it.
Give me a clue.
Well, he's Brazilian.
Richarlison.
No, I've gone for Jesus from City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because to me, it makes a lot of sense. Whether it happens or not, it's hard to guess really, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
City have signed a new striker, so they don't need all the attacking players, because we've also got another boy from Argentina coming that's been less well known than Haaland. So Alvarez, who plays for River Plate. So obviously these two are going to be given more chances because it's their first season, and they don't want to make it look like a bad transfer. So it means, in my opinion, that other clubs will now be alerted that one of the other strikers at City is going to be available, whether it's Mahrez, Sterling, Jesus, for the right bid. I think one of them is probably going to go.
Yeah.
And then with Arsenal, they've obviously got Arteta, who worked with him at City when he was assistant manager, and it just kind of feels right,
I think even Mahrez would be a good one.
Yeah, Mahrez would be as well, but
not both. I think you need to keep at least one of them.
Yeah, I think only one is going to go, and the same with Sterling. If the right bid came in for Sterling, but I think the only people who can afford Sterling, one for the price and two for the wage, are going to be foreign clubs.
And let's not forget as well, Sterling's slightly older.
Yeah. I mean, he's still quite young though. He's only 27.
But I say like compared to Jesus.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what's Mahrez, like 26ish or something like that?
No, I think Mahrez is 30 now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But then as well with Jesus, he's got 58 Premier League goals, and
you know who the goal is. I mean, I think that's fairly clear to see sometimes. Like he's sort of like has that poacher sort of attitude towards him.
He's versatile and can play across the front three and that's kind of what Arsenal are missing a little bit towards the end of the season. They're running out of steam. Saka is a great player. Martinelli is okay. Like he's good enough to be a squad player for Arsenal and Europa League, Champions League level. But you sort of need to be able to mix the front three. Yeah. At the end of the season, they were playing Nketiah, and man, he scored. But you need to be able to have someone better than him. Yeah. Obviously, Lacazette's gone as well, so it kind of just makes sense for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think it's a good chat actually. I did think of Jesus for a couple of teams, but I think realistically, especially with the price tag he might come with as well, it's hard to find a team who would want to pay that money, but Arsenal's a great shout. Moving on to me, I'm with Villa now. This is actually a really hard one because they've already signed a bunch of players and they spent a decent amount of money. So I ended up going through their team and sort of seeing their starting 11 and then seeing sort of backups and who they might need. Now, we speak about the left-back position. Lucas Digne, they signed, obviously, recently. I think he's the starting left-back 100%. But there is a player who they are actually linked with. They were linked with him before Digne, and his name is Quinton Merlin. He's French, 20-year-old, has a bunch of assists, plays for Nantes, and he's the type of player where he will cross the ball if he wants to, but he's also the type of guy who'll come in and take a shot and score. He's also quite similar to Digne in the sense that he's got a bit of a lethal free kick on him as well. It was really difficult because Villa already spent the cash quite early in the transfer window, which I'm a big fan of. I think it's good to be prepared. The scouts have already done the work clearly. I don't see Merlin coming in and completely taken over from Digne straight away, but I do think it could be good competition for Digne, and I think Merlin would thrive in the Premier League at some point in his career. Like I say, he's only 20, so I think that would be a good signing. They are already linked with him,
I agree. They've definitely done the business early with the marquee signings, and plus the January window. I think it would be hard now for Villa to sign another marquee signing without a player leaving. And I've not really heard too many links of players leaving other than potentially Danny Ings, but that's only like a really sort of weak link that people have just started recently. But if you're a Villa fan, you've probably been pretty happy so far.
I think so, 100%.
Diego Carlos, Coutinho.
I think realistically they're not going to be spending a lot more money now.
No, I don't.
So I think a player like him, a young lad who can come in, learn a bit from Gerrard as well, I think it'd be a great sign for Villa.
Okay, next up is Bournemouth, newly promoted one. It's hard because usually you'd go towards a striker for a newly promoted team, but I've played it a bit safer here and said that they should get Nat Phillips back. Either on loan or as a permanent.
I think there is I did see something where they were linked with trying to get him back on a permanent.
But it just makes sense to me, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
He actually did quite well this season where he needed to play for Liverpool because of all the injuries.
Yeah.
He seemed to do well towards the back end of last season, pretty popular amongst the fans. I think he's now 5th choice at Liverpool because they reinforced with Konate last summer. So he's 5th choice. Liverpool maybe would accept, 10, 15 million. So it could be a nice piece of business for Bournemouth. Just nice and safe.
Yeah,
because you don't want to take risks as a new.
And realistically, as well with Bournemouth is they have got a decent attacking front. Like Solanke had a great season in the Championship, and I think he had a brief spell where he was getting a couple of games in the Prem before that. But I think it would be nice to see him headlining that attack and see how he does with them. So I like that. Nice, I agree. Next we've got Brentford. I've gone with another Liverpool player actually. I've gone with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been bench warming a little bit at Liverpool. I feel like his ability is a lot better than being on the bench, but I don't think it's good enough to be starting for the Liverpool team. Brentford have got a solid defence. They didn't concede too many goals last year, and with their attack with Tony and Mbeumo as well, I just thought a midfield section might be able to cover especially if Eriksen doesn't re-sign or whatever happens over there, because we're unsure with that at the moment. He'd definitely get into the team. I think he'd start a lot of games, and I actually think he'd be a good sort of attacking force for them. So I've gone with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, no, I feel Brentford are in a nice position because they don't have to worry about the striker. Tony's going to score 10 plus goals, so it makes it a lot easier. I don't really know what the budget's like or the scouting though, to be honest.
I'm not 100% sure. I do know that a lot of the players that they got were sort of if there's 6-month contracts within that period, then you can talk about signing somebody without having to pay as much as you want. And I think they did that with a lot of their defenders. But I mean, Tony they've had for a few seasons now, and he's been phenomenal. In Mbeumo, I know they got from cheap from France, I think. So the scouting system seems to be pretty good. So who knows? They'll probably bring in some players we've never heard of, and then they'll end up excelling. So great. Next,
pretty similar to Brighton, who are next. Their scouting network seems to be real spot on, but it made it quite hard guessing who they're going to pick because they usually pick players that are kind of under the radar that no other clubs are really in for, and you see. With Brighton, I linked this guy for 8 million, and then it turns out to be an absolute bargain that none of us have heard. I was going to look for a striker originally because I don't rate Maupay that much. I think he's okay. He's okay for a Premier League, but they've always been one of those teams that struggles to convert.
Yeah.
So I looked at it, and then I didn't realise that they'd already signed a player from the Belgian league in January, but loaned him straight out again.
All right.
So
okay.
he's going to be joining already.
So he might be.
And he won the Belgian Player of the Year. He scored a load of goals.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So that I thought I'm not going to look for a striker then. And then today came the news that Bissouma is having a medical at Spurs. So obviously it looks like Bissouma's out. Cucurella's been linked with City.
I think that would be a great signing for them.
Yeah. So I kind of didn't really know who they should sign. Yeah. So I've gone for. I've just said that they need to sign a centre defensive mid, and I said I think someone in the French league. The French league seem to produce good centre defensive mids at the moment.
Right.
So I just had a look, and it wouldn't surprise me if they find one for 10-20 million. And I said Decore from Lens.
Okay.
Sort of fits the Brighton profile.
Right.
There's absolutely zero link with him.
Okay.
But I was just saying someone
that,
around that. You
Yeah.
know, 10 million.
Yeah.
Someone, a young sort of French league player in defensive mid, fits a lot of the Brighton like philosophy.
Because obviously there's with Bissouma now signed for Spurs as well. For those of you who might not have seen that, so a midfield replacement might be something they need.
Yeah. And it won't. I just don't feel that they're the type of team to buy from another Premier League club.
Yeah,
you know? I can't remember the last time they got Danny Welbeck on a free, I think, and that's about. And Lallana again back on a free.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, that's a good point actually. I like that. Right, my turn. I'm on Chelsea. My first sort of like the top 6 here, so I'm quite excited about this one.
Big boys.
With the likes of Rudiger leaving, Christensen leaving, Thiago's not getting any younger.
Alonso.
Exactly. I thought a defender, 100%. A young defender, someone who's probably going to end up teaming up with the likes of Trevor Chalobah when he starts playing some decent games. So I've gone with a guy called Jules Koundé. He's at Sevilla. He's had an unbelievable season. Like, this guy is not your traditional centre back. Like he's not massive. He's not a big role. He's like a sort of a playmaker centre back. He's got like 7 assists from the centre back role last season for Sevilla. There's a lot of hype about him. He's young. A lot of teams are looking at getting him at the moment. I think Real Madrid they were linked at one point. PSG were also linked with the French connection, but Chelsea are linked. Mm-hmm. That's one of the main reasons why I put him in. I know they desperately need a defender.
Yep.
Like I say, he's not your traditional sort of like big centre back, but he does score a couple of goals, but mainly it's his assists, balls over the top, that type of stuff. So yeah, I think Jules Koundé for Chelsea. I think he's linked already, and they will have to spend the cash though to get him.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me.
They will have to spend the cash to get him. That's for sure. You're next.
Who's next? I am with Crystal Palace. I said they remind me a bit of Brighton as well, the way they're run. Similar sort of budget. With Palace though, it's quite opposite to last off-season when they got rid of Hodgson. Mm-hmm. A lot of the starting 11 were out of contract, and this summer seems like they're going to start from a much more settled position.
Okay.
You know, there's no links with anyone leaving Palace, apart from obviously Gallagher is going to go back from their loan, but it seems very settled. So I feel like they've got quite the opportunity to maybe not bring someone in that's needed for the starting 11. They can maybe bring someone in who's got a lot of potential. Yeah. And again, I would say it's hard to find someone to link. Palace have been known to buy from the Championship. Yeah. Obviously, they bought Eze from QPR.
Exactly, yeah.
So they could buy some exciting player.
And even from outside, Odsonne Edouard came from Celtic.
Yeah, he came from Celtic. But I'm going to stick with the French connection, because they've got a few French players. Obviously, Vieira is the manager. He's a French legend. So I've gone for pronunciation here. It's not going to be great. Chotard at Montpellier,
right?
Is a good fit.
Let's hope he's good, because there's a few jokes you can make about his name.
Because also they've got McCarthy, who is getting on a bit now. So I was thinking, if you get a player who can play in both of those positions, who's quite young and French, that would be the profile that I would be looking for if I was a Palace scout.
Yeah. Interesting. I like it. I think the French connection is definitely there. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they did sign someone who's French. So I like that. Nice. So I'm on Everton. Speaking of Conor Gallagher, He's one of my picks in terms of who I think could end up joining Everton.
Okay.
It looks like James Tarkowski's sort of a close done deal,
Yeah,
so I didn't
heard that
want
as well.
to sort of like fully pick him. But yeah, I thought I'd go like a bit more adventurous. Linked, he's currently at 7-1 to join, and he did have an amazing season last year.
Got Lampard connection.
Exactly. I think Everton are going to need that sort of creative flair in the middle, and I really think it'll help them out. Obviously, the England call up as well. Everton definitely needs someone in the middle who's going to sort them out, because you've got the likes of sort of your Decore, Allens, who are sort of your CDM sitting in tight, but there's no real playmaker. Dele Alli didn't quite do maybe as much as people wanted him to, and if you've got the likes of Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin up front, Demarai Gray out wide, Townsend if he wants to when he can, you're going to need someone centrally who's going to be a bit of a creative flair, and I think Conor Gallagher really fits that position. It does look like Tarkowski's going to join. If he wasn't connected, I probably would have picked Tarkowski.
Yeah.
Reason being is he's too good for the Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I think he actually did. If he wasn't at Burnley, I think he would be a contender to being probably given an England call up.
Yeah, I mean he's out of contract
Exactly.
as well, so you're getting him for free. Whoever gets him.
And Everton's defence was pretty woeful last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So
Also, I think he did play with Michael Keane at Burnley as well.
exactly, yeah.
Not
There's that
100%
connection
sure.
too. Yeah. So I guess Conor Gallagher, Tarkowski throw around for me. There's a double there. So
Yep. Next, I am on Fulham, another newly promoted team.
okay.
And
yeah.
again, this is just another safe pick, very similar to the Bournemouth one, so apologies for being boring. But I would like to see them sign Williams from Liverpool again.
Oh,
left
right,
back.
okay. Yeah.
Either on loan or a permanent one. I was going to try and find an attacking player to replace Carvalho, but I feel
Yeah,
like
that's a good point.
they're not going to be as creative and expressive going forward. So I feel like it's more important they bolster up their defence, or at least keep the same backline that they had. And I went on a few fan forums, and he is an extremely popular player
Oh, really?
for the fans. The fans really like him, call him, the complete modern fullback.
Wow.
Very similar to the way that Robertson plays. Obviously, he's not as good as Robertson,
No,
and that's
yeah.
why he's going to be available.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this would be a very popular signing all round.
I think it'd be a good signing. I think
Yeah.
wouldn't cost too much. I don't think.
No, I think around 50 million.
Even if they manage a season loan at the beginning or
Exactly.
something like that, I think Liverpool will be willing to do it as well.
Yeah. Because they've got depth there.
Exactly.
Tsimikas played really well last season.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you look at like sort of their attacking force, you obviously got like some Mitrovic.
Yep.
Who knows how he's going to do in the Premier League? If we're going off past form, he might grab 10-ish.
Yeah. No, I think Fulham are going to be much better suited to the previous seasons that they've been in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Again, like similar to like what I was saying about Palace.
Mm-hmm.
This Fulham setup just seems a lot more solid, and
Yeah.
there's not much for them to worry about in
Yeah.
terms of this player, blah blah blah. It's very solid, and we can pick one or two players that we really think are going to improve the team. And I think that is a better way of doing transfer business.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
just 2 or 3 signings, keep the squad fresh, keep it ticking over.
Yeah.
Just
100%, I agree. That brings me on to Leeds. A lot of pressure with this one. My best mate's a Leeds fan, and I was chatting to him a little bit today, just trying to find out where, from his perspective, where he would like to sort of bolster and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I knew already what they needed. Defensively, they were pretty terrible last year. However, they made a couple of signings. They made a right back signing and another guy as well, midfield, I think Aronson or something like that. I think it's called.
Yeah, I think one was from the same club.
From Leipzig,
Yeah.
wasn't it? But there's also the American connection, because Jesse Marsh, obviously, an American, he has the Leipzig connection. I also Calvin Phillips as well. With him, there's a question about him possibly being sold. They would need a replacement. So I've linked a couple here. So this is, just bear with me on this one. Tyler Adams is one of them. USA international, plays for Leipzig, CDM sort of role. He's a great player. Has that relationship with Jesse Marsh already, and I definitely think that he's probably already on the phone and already sort of a guy that. They're already linked with him.
Yeah.
But I think it's already sort of like, right, we prefer Phillips, but if we sell him,
Yep.
then we're going to try and go for you.
Yeah, I think he fits into the
100%.
available category as well,
Yeah.
because he doesn't start every game for Leipzig, and it's one of those where if the right bid came in, they'd let him go. So
100%.
I can see that.
I've got a little bit of a curveball though, a second signing,
yeah.
which I think would be good. They need a centre back for me.
Oh,
I think Leeds need a centre back. They need a leader, someone who's going to come in and just sort of like dominate the aerial threats that other teams might have.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone with a lad called John Brooks right now.
Oh yeah,
You might have heard of him.
Yeah,
he scored a famous goal for America in the World Cup. I think it was like he was like the first defender to score a World Cup goal for the USA.
Okay.
There was a weird statistic around it. He's a big ball guy. Plays for Wolfsburg. Starts pretty much every game for them. But he's also a goal scorer.
Okay.
He scored 6 goals last year. That's 2 impressive. Came in the cup as well. He's an absolute monster. He's a leader. He did captain America when he played for him. I believe he stepped down now from international duties. I think he's 29 years old, so
that's pretty
it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great signing, especially with the sort of USA connection as well. That's my sort of curveball. But if Phillips leaves, I think definitely gets centre mid in.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see both of them.
Good,
yeah.
Good. Tell you what, by the way, if they sign John Brooks now, that's to be the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, especially with no links.
Yeah, 0 links at all. I've just called him out. Right, who's next?
Next, I have Leicester.
Tough this.
Yeah, I found it tough. I think this season, I felt that most of their problems were the lack of depth in defence.
Yeah.
And obviously Fofana, I think he's a really good player. It's just unfortunate he had a broken leg.
So you think they should bring Robert Huth out of retirement? Is that what you're going to say?
we don't like to see that. Johnny Evans is going to be another year older.
True.
So he might not be able to manage the whole season. So I've gone for Ben Mee. I think that I think he'd be a great fit because he would be free.
Right.
And I can't really understand why he's not been linked yet, because Leicester are in the market for a centre back. He's good enough to be a centre back for.
He's getting on a bit.
Leicester.
Is he not?
Yeah, but you can give him a 2-year contract.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what I mean. It's free, and in this day and age, when are you going to get a proven centre back defender for free? It's really quite unlikely, and he's not going to demand like astronomical wages either.
Yeah.
So I think if they were open to, I think it would be a good fit. I think he would be. I think he would improve Leicester's team for sure.
I think that's the first one you've said that I don't like. Actually,
No.
Yeah, I think Ben Mee is definitely proven in the Premier League, and I think he would fit the likes of a Premier League bottom. I think a bottom half team.
Yeah.
The likes of Leicester. I mean, we're talking about a team who won the Premier League not long ago, and they were in Champions League, and they're probably going to want to look at getting back into those positions soonish. So,
but I think teams are going to overtake them now.
Yeah,
for sure.
That could be the case, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a great defender. There was talks about him being taken over like a managerial role at Burnley as well, wasn't there?
But that's not happening anymore because Company got announced today.
Vince Company's been announced, hasn't he? Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what plans he has for.
Yeah, but he's been released from Burnley, so he's definitely not.
So
there
100% not going there. All right, fair enough.
So he's going to go somewhere, and it would be a shock if he went to another Championship club that wasn't Burnley, because. Yeah, there's going to be at least one Premier League team that will take a chance on him, even as a backup centre back.
That's true. That is true.
Because, like I say, you're not paying.
I'd imagine there'd be a few Championship teams wouldn't mind signing him as well. To be fair, especially on a freebie.
Yeah, but I think he'll be back in the Premier League.
Interesting. Nice. Back to me. I'm on Manchester United. Quite an easy one actually for me. This one.
Liverpool.
Oh, I'm on Liverpool. Sorry, Liverpool. That's a good one. Alright, we'll do United thing. Liverpool. This is the opposite. This is actually a hard one.
Yeah, no.
This was hard because they sort of pissed the money on Nunez, and it's hard to sort of like strengthen a team now because they've got some really good players. I'm gonna go with a guy who I know from my career mode on FIFA.
Yeah.
His name's Tchouaméni.
Yeah.
Plays for Monaco, centre mid. Like an absolute horse. Like he doesn't stop working. Bit of a Kante sort of player, but he has got that sort of aerial threat. Quite a big lad as well. My only thinking is that Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho, Keita, And then I'm just trying to think of anyone else who could fit in that midfield. And we talk about the amount of times that the likes of Pep and Klopp changed their starting 11 over. I think definitely their next signing needs to be a midfielder.
Yeah.
I don't think they can rely on the likes of Henderson much longer. I think Fabinho's top quality, Thiago's top quality, but we're talking about two midfielders there. Kate is good off the bench. And I think the likes of Tchouaméni, I think it'd be a good signing. There's also the link with Bellingham.
Yep.
But again, they've spent a lot of money already.
Yep.
I think Bellingham would cost a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, you'd be spending a good amount on Tchouaméni as well because he's quite a young player. That's sort of one good thing about the Monaco youth setup is like 80% of their youth players end up playing for the first team at some point in their career. So I think both would be a great signing, but I think Tchouaméni is the more realistic one. But that depends if they still want to spend a bit more money. I tried to find somebody else who could come in and be sort of like a backup to someone, but they have that in most positions. I was looking maybe like a replacement for Trent, but then Gomez plays right back sometimes, and Milner's signed a new contract as well for another year. He can do the right back position. I can't change anyone in attack. Like that's just not happening. So that was the only one I could really think of, really. Tchouaméni, Monaco.
Okay, City next.
Right, go on, this is yours. Your big one.
Yeah, no, I think the two players that we've been linked with are solid. Is pick or choose between Cucurella and Phillips. So, as a fan, I would be happy with either. But I think that Phillips should be the priority because other than Rodri, we've not really got anyone. Gundogan can play that role, but we're a much worse team with him in CDM than Rodri. So now Fernandinho's gone, we essentially need the replacement for Fernandinho more than we need an upgrade on Zinchenko. It's my opinion.
100%. I think Phillips is definitely the choice you have to go for. I think Zinchenko is fantastic. Cancelo plays left back as well when you want him to. So you've got plenty of cover in that position. And yeah, I think midfielder is definitely something you could take. The question is, would they? Well, first of all, how much is he worth?
Yeah.
I think realistically, we're looking around 50 million mark. Yeah. And if anyone's going to pay more than that, it's going to be City.
Yeah, I think 60 was. Up in the air. I think if Leeds wanted more than 60, I think City would walk away. They're not really scared to walk away anymore. You know, back 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were having to pay whatever price people were naming, and now we're quite happy to walk away on some transfers. So.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of other players as well similar to Phillips, but the only problem is they're not from the Premier League, and we've seen it before where players have been signed for big money, come to the Premier League, and just a completely different type of football, and they've struggled. So I think Phillips is a good shout. Cucurella would be a good signing as well.
Yeah, both.
But I think it would be a bit harder for him to get into the starting 11.
Yeah.
My turn. Man United. This is quite an easy one. I'll go with Jurrien Timber from Ajax. Ten Hag knows him well. Obviously, he was with him last season. There's a lot of dead wood in that United team, which he seems to slowly be sort of like picking away now. And yeah, I think he's fantastic. They signed Wan-Bissaka, and he didn't really perform that well. Varane's not getting any younger. Maguire's had a tough season. Looks like to me Ten Hag will play a 3 at the back sort of formation with United next season, which is exactly what he did at Ajax. Bit sort of Southgate-ish, so it's like 3 with the 5. And I think Timber will fit in there quite nicely. He had a fantastic season. Young, they will have to spend the money though. The checkbook will need to come out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if more players from Ajax come to United actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I saw a couple of days ago that they had put in a £60 million bid for De Jong.
Yeah.
And Barca hadn't accepted it, and they were talking about maybe going up to 80 or 100 million, and man, that is not what United need to do.
No.
Like, even if you think De Jong is a good player and will be a good fit for United, you cannot be at this current time in the United squad. You can't be spending 100 million on a player.
The thing is,
you've got to split it up and get 33 million pound players instead of 100.
Yeah, and the thing is I find United fans so delusional. Like, what happens at the end of every season, they complain about how shit their season was, and then the owners will just buy, like, they'll spend like 60 to 100 million on like 1 or 2 players, and suddenly United are like, oh nice, we've got decent players again. 2 months in, they're going, oh, we have a shit team, shit recruitment. It's like, well, hang on a minute, 2 months ago you were saying how good these signings were. So, like, you know, make your mind up.
Yeah, I just think that the style needs to be bolstering the squad, and then next year you can try and get a luxury player.
Yeah.
But they're not in a position to sign a luxury player.
No, definitely not.
They need depth and starters.
Yeah,
instead
I
of,
could have picked like 8 to 10 players
Yeah.
that could have joined United, but for me, the defence is something they need to pick up on, and I think Timber is a good one.
Yep.
Go next.
Fair enough. I am with Newcastle, and there's loads of players that you could link with these.
If you figure out what their budget is, then you're laughing, aren't you?
But I think Newcastle's January window was really impressive, and I think it was an indication of the way they're going to try and play it for the next year, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
So my logic behind this was they're going to go for a Premier League player, I thought, and it's going to have to be someone that gets in their starting lineup from a worse team than them.
Okay.
And really, there's not many.
No.
Except James Ward-Prowse. And I think James Ward-Prowse would be an incredible pick for Newcastle.
Is he linked?
I'm not sure if I've seen any links in the media, but he's like 2-1 on Betfair and stuff like that. But if you think about it, it would just be a massive upgrade on John Joe Shelby.
Huge.
And it's a guy that you can count on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, you know he's going to be really good. He's going to be able to take the free kicks, the corners, just settle everything down.
Yeah.
He can play whatever style you want. He can get in and he can get really rough and get quite dirty at times if that's needed in the game, or he can be really silky with his passing. So I think whatever like style of play Newcastle are going to go for in the next 3 years, he'd fit it.
100%.
And he'd make them stronger and make other teams in the Premier League weaker, which is what Newcastle look like they were trying to do with like the signings from Burnley with Wood, Brighton with Burn, and I think that is the way that they're going to try and go over the next 2 years.
I saw
because they could just go and spunk money, 50 million on a guy from Italy and have no idea. But if they put 50 million on James Ward-Prowse, they know what they're going to get.
Yeah, and they got that Guimaraes.
Guimaraes,
good player. I saw James Ward-Prowse play the other night with England, and I thought he did really well. Controlled the game a little bit, always asking for the ball. And it is quite similar to sort of your Shelby back in the day, where he'd just walk to the defence, pick the ball up and turn and just go long, Pirlo-esque. And
I think it'd be a fantastic signing, but it might be really hard to pull off. So
I think
you don't know.
Money-wise, I don't know what you'd be looking at. I don't know how much.
I think 40, 50 would get him, but it's whether they want to pay that. They don't, and whether he would move. Maybe he thinks he can get a better move. Maybe he thinks he can go to a top 6 team. So who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Right, I'm next. Forest. I'm quite proud of this one actually, because I thought this is like a bit of connections going on here. But I picked 2 players again. Okay. I know I cheat a little bit about for it. First one is Morgan Gibbs-White.
Oh yeah.
Logic behind it. Other than the fact that he had a great season with Sheffield United, he actually played under Steve Cooper. So he's had a great season last year. I think he's got the potential for Premier League. I think Sheffield United probably deserved to go up last year. They had a really good season. I think they'll be one of the favourites to go up next year. But I think Gibbs-White is too good for the Championship, and I think going to a team like Forest would definitely give him the incentive to sort of like crack on with his career a little bit further now, because he's always been like a talking point, but never quite managed to sort of like break into a team and do really well until the Sheffield United season. So I think Steve Cooper knows how good he is as well, and I think he would be a fantastic sign. I don't think it'd be too much either.
No.
Secondly, I think that they need a striker. They got like sort of like your Brennan Johnson, but I think he's linked to go somewhere, as well as a couple of other attacking players. And obviously with Burnley getting relegated, I've gone for the beast in Weghorst.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's too good for the Championship. Scored a beautiful goal for Holland the other day to grab them the win. And he had a couple of injury issues this season, hence why he wasn't always in the starting 11. But I think he also fits their style of play. Forest, the type of team, especially if they manage to keep Jed Spence for likes of him, where they just early crosses, and I think having someone big and dominant like Wout Weghorst would be a great signing too. So I think priority, Morgan Gibbs-White, I think that'd be great, but I do think they need a striker definitely to keep them up next year. Someone's going to bang some goals in, and a big man like Weghorst would be a good signing, I think, because I'm pretty sure he's unhappy to be in the Championship.
Yep. No, that makes sense to me. Yep. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he does push for a move.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I'd have him.
Yeah.
I think he's a great player.
So next, we're almost towards
Nearly
the end.
done now.
I've got Southampton.
Okay.
and I'll mention this again when we get closer to the season, but Southampton are my favourites for relegation. Like,
really?
well, not favourites, but
You think they'll be down there?
that'll be one of my tips to go down.
Yeah.
He could have picked a lot of areas that they need to improve, but I really don't rate their strikers. Like,
well, they got Brozier and Che Adams.
well, Brozier I think was on loan, so he's back to Chelsea. Che Adams I don't think he's scored a goal since February.
Oh, really?
Something terrible like that.
Wow.
And Adam Armstrong only got 2 goals last season,
Yeah.
and both of those they got from the Championship. Che Adams came from Birmingham,
Yeah.
and Adam Armstrong came from Blackburn. And I think that just proves, that it's just, especially in the striker position, a lot of other positions it's fine recruiting from the Championship, but striker position, it's very, very rare that it works.
And I think also Adam Armstrong has actually been linked to a few Championship teams.
Wouldn't
so
surprise
it looks
me.
like they are trying to get rid of him.
So a little bit of a curve interest, maybe something that could pick up in the rumour mill. I've gone for Danny Ings to come back from Villa because I'm not convinced.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
I'm not convinced that Gerrard likes playing the two of them up top.
Yeah.
I don't think he likes playing like a solid 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And with the signings that he's made, it kind of makes me feel even more inclined that he's not going to want 2 strikers playing in the same team.
True.
So I think if they've got their eye on someone else and they want to raise a bit of money, I can see them just saying, 20 million, go back.
I like that. Danny
So
Ings,
I
yeah.
think,
I like that. That's a
and
good
he was really popular down there.
Yeah.
So that's my little rumour. I think he definitely improved the team.
They definitely need a striker.
Yeah.
Maybe even Vegels could be a shout for them as well. It would be a good signing. But no, I like that. Yeah, Danny Ings is definitely a Premier League player. I think he will do well. I agree in the sense I think Southampton might struggle next year, especially if Ward-Prowse does go to Newcastle, like you say. I think that's going to be a tough one to go. They could struggle even more if the guy I'm about to say is going to go to Spurs.
Okay.
I've got Spurs now, and defender. They need a defender, big time. So I've gone with Bednarek.
Okay.
26 years old. He's an absolute powerhouse. I know Southampton didn't have their best sort of defensive season last year, but I genuinely do think that this guy is better. He deserves Premier League football. With Conte's play at Spurs, I just can't see them relying on Dyer for too much longer. And it's sort of who else is going to be that sort of defend? There's the Davies as well.
Yeah.
Again, they need someone who's going to come in and just sort of stabilise that back five and go, right, I'm the middle here, let me sort it out. He's great in the air, scores goals, and he's calm on the ball too, like Spurs are trying to play with Conte. So yeah, I definitely think he'd be a great move. Don't think that it costs too much either, considering Southampton probably need the funds if they wanted to buy somebody. I don't think Southampton would be too impressed at getting rid of him.
No.
But yeah, I think Bednarek's he's an underestimated defender in my opinion.
Yep.
And if he wasn't a team like Southampton, I think we'd be talking about him a lot.
Personally, I'm not a massive Bednarik fan because
No.
there was one game that I had him on fantasy,
Alright.
and I think it was against United,
Okay.
and he scored an own goal,
Right.
conceded about 7,
Okay.
then got a red card.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think
I think he got -5 or something, and I've never had a player even close to -5. So since
to be
then,
fair, I don't know why you put a defender in if they're playing United or one of the top 6 teams.
Yeah, but you still need players that are going to pick up your points to your budget.
I think that's something else as well. He has had quite a few yellows from what I remember last season. Looking at statistics on flash score and stuff, there was a lot of yellows. I think he might have had a red in there as well. So does have a bit of a temper. But I think Spurs need that player. They need someone who's going to come in and be a bit of a leader. They haven't got Lloris for much longer. Realistically, I think he's getting on a little bit. Obviously, Kane can take the role of captain, but having someone in their defence just to sort of lock everything up, I think is something they definitely need. So Bednarek was just one that sort of came to mind straight away.
Yep, that's fair enough.
One more?
Yeah, my last team are West Ham.
Ooh, nice.
It was a bit of a debate in my head what I was going to pick, but I have said that I'm going to commit to Rice staying. I think Rice will
Okay.
stay at least one more season.
Okay.
So I can't. I was
Don't pick a
gonna
midfield.
have a look at trying to find a defensive midfield to replace Rice if he goes maybe or something, or replace Noble. But Noble didn't even play that many minutes,
No, that's
so I don't think they really need to replace him. So then I thought about fullbacks because they rely a lot on the fullbacks. So it's really important that the fullbacks are fresh. They don't want to be playing Cresswell every game and the other Czech boy. I was going to do fullback cover, but then I've decided that I actually think that Lingard would be the safest.
Yeah.
And I think behind the scenes, it would be a move that both parties would probably want, and the only stumbling block is his wage. So if we assume that his wage is going to be sorted out and everyone's happy, I can't really see many negatives to that move for both people.
I like Lingard.
It just seems a pretty sensible, Lingard
I think
to West Ham.
I think he's too good for United. I'm gonna put it out there. He's too good for United. He deserves to be a team like West Ham. He had a great loan spell with them.
He had a great loan spell.
I think West Ham is a strange one. Like I've always had like a little bit of a soft spot for them. I'm a big fan of Antonio.
Yeah.
Like he was my first pick in my fantasy draft last season, and I kept him in like most of the season. Like he was got me so many points. But you do think like if he wasn't there, who would headline that strike force? And realistically, there isn't that much going on.
No.
So maybe a striker as well could be a sharp West Ham going forwards. Well, who knows? Yeah, I like Lingard. Right, last one. I've got Wolverhampton of the Wanderers. They are currently linked with King Lewis Potter from Hull. Okay. He had 12 goals last season, 8 assists. He got Player of the Year for Hull. He's a great young player. I think though they are going to need someone else to sort of like fill the gaps a little bit. So I'm going to stick with their Portuguese roots. Obviously they have a lot of Portuguese players, Portuguese manager. So what I did is I actually went onto the national team, the Portuguese national team, and I just went and had a look at sort of like different players who are like in their starting 11 now, because it's changed so much over the years. Like some I don't recognise. Portuguese roots. I've gone with Gonçalo Guedes. He's a Portuguese national team player. Plays for Valencia currently. He had a good season last year, 6 assists, 11 goals. I think Wolves have a number of like attacking options, and he can play anywhere. Like for the national team, he's played out wide, like on the left side. For Valencia, he's played centre mid, and in the past he's played the fullback role as well. Yeah. Not a position I think Wolves need to improve. I think their fullbacks are good, but I think centre mid, joining likes of Neves, Moutinho. And he can even play out wide if needs be as well. So I think a Portuguese signing, someone who fits into the sort of like the culture of the club. I think I've gone with Guedes. There was another guy, Vitinho, who was at Porto, who I also wanted to put in, but then he's actually already been on loan at Wolves a few seasons ago, and obviously didn't do too great. So I thought I'll go with someone different. I went with him.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't be surprised if they signed a Portuguese player.
Yeah, I definitely think. I think there was also rumours of Neves leaving as well.
Yeah, I've heard they might go to United.
United, wasn't it? So a midfielder would have to come in. That pretty much brings us to the end of it. I enjoyed this. I like doing that. Yep. It was fun. I think what we could do now is revisit it at the end of the transfer window, or even before the season starts actually, and maybe we could do like our predictions as to how we think the league table is going to finish. Yep. And then we could combine it that way.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving us your tips. Keep an eye out now if John Brooks signs for Leeds.
Imagine.
Can you imagine? Excellent. Well, thanks, guys. Let us know your thoughts underneath as well in terms of who you think teams are going to sign, whether you liked our picks or not. And also keep an eye out on Twitter as well, because we've had a couple of winning tips recently. I think we explained it in the last podcast.
Yep. Oh, I've had one since then as well, was the F1.
Oh, yes, we had an F1 one. So keep an eye on that too. We'll have another one coming up as well. Yep. We should have a podcast coming out next week, hopefully. Should be able to organise that, I think. We'll try to keep it up as much as possible. Great. Subscribe, like, all the good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.